Shavuot. Shalom on the Sabbath day. Welcome to the Philadelphia Assemblies for the second time again today. We're going to continue our expository teaching. This again with 2 Samuel. We're going to start in chapter 14. We'll just open in prayer, a short prayer to get started. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day again, and we ask that your blessing be upon all those that are seeking the truth, and Father, all those that are being called. We ask you would open our hearts and our minds and teach us what you'd have us to know. Help you that your Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, to teach us all things. In Yahushua's name we pray. Amen. Okay, chapter 14, verse 1. Now Joab, the son of Zeruiah, perceived that the king's heart was inclined towards Absalom. And Joab sent Tekoa and brought there a wise woman and said unto her, I beg you, pretend yourself to be a mourner and put on now mourning apparel, and anoint not yourself with oil, but be as a woman that had a long time mourned for the dead. Verse 3, or as someone had been a long time mourning the dead. And come to the king and speak on this manner, okay, in this way unto him. So Joab put the words in her mouth, and the woman of Tekoa spake to the king. She fell on her face to the ground and prostrated herself and said, Help, O king. And the king said unto her, What ails you? And she answered, I am indeed a widow woman, and my husband is dead. And your handmaiden had two ben or sons, and they two fought together in the field, and there was none to part them, but the one struck the other and killed him. Verse 7, And behold, the whole family is risen against your handmaiden. And they said, Deliver him that killed his brother, that we may kill him, for the life of his brother who he slew, and we will destroy the heir also, and so they shall destroy the last which is left, and shall not leave to my husband neither the name nor reminder upon the earth. And the king said unto the woman, Go to your house, and I will give instruction concerning you. And the woman of Tekoa said unto the king, My master, O king, the iniquity or the lawlessness or the sin be on me, and on my father's family, and the king and his throne be guiltless. And the king said, Whoever says anything unto you, bring him to me, and he shall not touch you any more. Verse 11, Then said she, I beg you, let the king remember Yahuwah your Elohim, that you would not allow the avengers of blood to destroy any more, lest they destroy my ben or son. And he said, As Yahuwah lives, there shall not one hair of your ben or son fall to the earth. Verse 12, Then the woman said, Let your handmaiden, I beg you, speak one word unto my master the king. And he said, Say on. And the woman said, Therefore, then why then have you thought such a thing against the people of Elohim? For the king does speak this thing as one which is guilty, in that the king does not bring home again his banished. Verse 14, For we must needs die, and are as water spilt on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither does Elohim respect any person. Yet doth he devise means that his banished be not expelled or cast out from him. 15. Now therefore, that I am come to speak of this thing unto my master the king, it is because the people have made me afraid, and your handmaiden said, I will not speak unto the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his handmaid. For the king will hear to deliver his handmaiden out of the hand of the man that would destroy me and my son, or my Ben, together out of the inheritance of Elohim. So in other words, don't let their name be erased from the remembrance of Israel. Verse 17, as we know in the Torah, it teaches us that we're not supposed to let that happen. We're supposed to keep that name together. Now, verse 17, then your handmaiden said, the word of my master the king shall now be comforted, for as the Malach of Elohim, so is my master the king to discern good and bad. Therefore Yahuwah your Elohim will be with you. So they have an, but it's really in the Hebrew should have been translated for as the angel of Yahuwah, or I'm sorry, the angel of Elohim is the correct messenger, and that would be the Malach of Elohim, which means messenger of Elohim. So is my master the king to discern good and bad. Therefore Yahuwah your Elohim will be with you, the king. Verse 18, the king answered and said unto the woman, hide not from me, I beg you, the thing that I ask you. And the woman said, let my master the king now speak. And the king said, is not the hand of Joab with you in all this? And the woman answered and said, as your soul lives, or as you live, my lord the king, none can turn to the right hand or to the left from anything that my master the king has spoken, for your servant Joab, he instructed me, and he put all these words in the mouth of your handmaiden. Verse 20, to bring about this form of speech hath your servant Joab done this thing, and my master is wise according to the wisdom of the angel of Elohim, to know all things that are in the earth. Okay, it's not just any angel. This is the Ruach HaKodesh he's talking about, or the angel, or the Malach of Elohim, the Malach. And the king said unto Joab, behold, now I have done this thing. Go therefore, bring the young man Absalom again. And Joab fell to the ground on his face and bowed himself and thanked the king of Joab, said, today your servant knows that I have found grace in your sight, my master, O king, and that the king hath fulfilled the word of his servant. 23. So Joab arose and went to Geshur and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, let him turn to his own house, and let him not come to see my face. So Absalom returned to his own house and saw not the king's face. But in all Israel there was none to be so much praised as Absalom for his beauty. For the sole of his foot, even to the crown of his head, there was no defect in him. And when he cut his head, for it was at every year's end that he cut it, his hair, because the hair was heavy on him, there he cut it, or pulled it. He weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. And unto Absalom there were born 3 Ben, or sons, and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. She was a woman of beautiful appearance. So Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem and saw not the king's face. 29. Therefore Absalom sent for Joab to have sent him to the king, but he would not come to him, and when he sent again the second time, he would not come. 30. Therefore he said unto his servants, see, Joab's field is near mine, and he hath barley there. Go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab arose and came to Absalom unto his house, and said unto him, Why have your servants set my field on fire? Verse 32, And Absalom answered Joab, Behold, I sent unto you, saying, Come here, that I may send you to the king to say, Why am I come from Geshur? It had been good for me to have been there still. Now therefore let me see the king's face, and if there be any sin in me, let him kill me. So Joab came to the king and told him, and when he had called for Absalom, he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom. Chapter 15. And it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him and said, Of what city are you? And he said, Your servant is of one of the tribes of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, See, your matters are good and right, but there is no man appointed of the king to hear you. For Absalom said, Moreover, Oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which hath any suit or cause might come unto me, and I would do him justice. Verse 5, And it was so, that when any man came to him to prostrate himself, he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him. And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel, and it came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. And it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said unto the king, I beg you, let me go and pray and pay my vow, or pay my pledge, which I have vowed unto Yahuwah in Hebron. So when he was in Hebron, he vowed unto Yahuwah. Not that Yahuwah was in Hebron. Verse 8, For your servant vowed a vow, or made a pledge, while I abode, or stayed in Geshur in Syria, saying, If Yahuwah shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve Yahuwah. Verse 9, And the king said unto him, Go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies, or secret malachim, is what it says in Hebrew, throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then you shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in the simplicity, or the innocence, and they knew not anything. Verse 12, And Absalom sent for Ahithophel, the Gileonite, David's counselor, from his city, even from Gilo, while he offered sacrifices, and conspiracy was strong. For the people increased, or were increasing in numbers continually with Absalom. And there came a malach, or messenger to David, saying, The hearts of the men of Israel are with Absalom. Verse 14, And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, Get up and let us flee, for we shall not otherwise escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly and bring evil upon us, and strike the city with the edge of the sword. Verse 15, And the king's servants said unto the king, Behold, your servants are ready to do whatever my master the king shall decide. And the king went forth, and all his household after him, and the king left 10 women which were concubines to keep the house. And the king went forth, and all the people after him, and stayed in a place that was far off. And all the servants traveled on beside him, and all the Cherethites and the Pelethites and all the Gittites, 600 men which came after him from Gath, passed on before the king. Verse 19. Then said the king to Ittai the Gittite, why go you also with us? Return to your place and abide or stay with the king, for you are a stranger and also in exile. Verse 20. Whereas you came by yesterday, should I this day make you go up and down with us, seeing I go where I may return you and take back your brethren? Mercy and truth be with you. Verse 21. And Ittai answered the king and said, as Yahuwah lives, and as my master the king lives, surely in what place my master the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also will your servant be, or will I be. Verse 22. And David said to Ittai, go and pass over. And Ittai the Gittite passed over, and all his men and all the little ones that were with him. Verse 23. And all the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people passed over. The king also himself passed over, or traveled over the brook Kidron, and all the people traveled over toward the way of the wilderness. And lo, Zodok also and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of Elohim. And they set down the ark of Elohim, and Abithar went up unto all the people, had finished traveling out of the city. Verse 25. And the king said unto Zodok, carry back the ark of Elohim unto the city, if I shall find favor in your eyes, in the eyes of Yahuwah, not in your eyes, in the eyes of Yahuwah. He will bring me again and show me both it and his habitation. Okay. I've just finished verse 25. Verse 26. But if he shall say, I have no delight in you, behold, here I am, or here am I, let him do to me as seems fit good for him, unto him, or unto Yahuwah. Verse 27. The king said also unto Zodok the priest, art not thou a prophet? It says seer here. They would have called seers in this time. Return into the city in peace, and your two ben with you, or sons, and Ahimaaz your ben, and Johanathan the son of Abiathar. Verse 28. So I will tarry or stay in the plain of the wilderness until there come a word from you to inform me. Verse 29. Zodok therefore and Abithar called the ark of Elohim again to Jerusalem, and they stayed there. And David went up by the ascent of Mount Olivet, and wept as he went up, and had his head covered, and he went barefoot, and all the people that was with him covered every man his head, and they went up weeping as they went up. Didn't say they were praying, and they weren't going before Yahuwah, so they had their head covered. Verse 31. And one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Yahuwah, I beg you, or I pray you, turn the counsel of Ahithophel unto foolishness. And it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mount, where he worshipped Elohim, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with the coat torn and earth upon his head. Unto whom David said, if you travel on with me, then you shall be a burden unto me. Verse 34, but if you return to the city and say unto Absalom, I will be your servant, O king, as I have been your father's servant in time past, so will I now also be your servant. Then may you for me frustrate the counsel of Ahithophel. Verse 35, and hast you not there with you Zadok and Abiathar, the priests? Therefore it shall be that what things soever you shall hear from the king's house, you shall tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priests. Behold, they have there with them their two men, Ahimaaz, Zadok's ben or son, and Johanathan, Abiathar's son, and by them you shall send unto me everything that you can hear. So in other words, you're going to report back to me everything. Verse 37, so Hushai, David's friend, came into the city, and Absalom came unto Jerusalem. Chapter 16. And David was a little past the top of the hill. Behold, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met him with a couple of donkeys saddled, and upon them 200 loaves of bread, and 100 bushels of raisins, and 100 of summer fruits, and a bottle of wine. And the king said to Ziba, What do you mean by these? And Ziba said, the donkeys be for the king's household to ride on, or the king's family to ride on, and the bread and the summer fruit for the young men to eat, and the wine that such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. So in other words, those that are dry, that are in the wilderness, may drink. Verse 3, and the king said, and where is your master's son? And Ziba said unto the king, behold, he abides at Israel. He abides at Jerusalem. Can't read here. For he said, today shall the house of Israel restore me the kingdom of my father. Verse 4, then said the king to Ziba, behold, yours are all that belong unto me, Mephibosheth. And Ziba said, I humbly beg you that I may find grace in your sight, my master, O king. And when King David said to Baharam, behold, there came out a man of the family of the house of Shaul, whose name was Shimei, the ben or son of Gera. He came forth and cursed still as he came. Verse 6, and he cast stones at David and at all the servants of King David, and all the people and all the mighty men were on the right hand and on his left. And thus said Shimei, when he cursed, come out, you bloody man, and you man of Belial, or you worthless fellow. Verse 8, Yahuwah hath returned upon you all the blood of the house of Shaul, in whose stead you have reigned, and Yahuwah hath delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom, your ben or son. And behold, you are taken in your mischief, because you are a bloody man, or a man that of bloodshed. Verse 9, then said Abishai, the ben of Zariah, unto the king, why should this dead dog curse my master the king? Let me go over, I beg you, and take off his head. And the king said, what have I to do with you, you ben of Zariah? So let him curse, because Yahuwah has said unto him, curse David. Who shall then say, why have you done so? So in other words, he said, must be thus saith Yahuwah. Okay, verse 11, and David said unto Abishai and to all his servants, behold my ben, which come forth of my bowels, or my insides, seekest my life. How much more now may this Benhamite do it. Let him alone and let him curse, for Yahuwah hath bidden him. It may be that Yahuwah will take on my affliction, and that Yahuwah will require me good for his cursing this day. And as Dawid and his men went by the way, Shimei went along on the hillside over against him, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him, and cast dust. And the king and all the people that were with him came weary and refreshed themselves there. And Absalom and all the people and the men of Israel came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him. And it came to pass, when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, was come unto Absalom, that Hushai said unto Absalom, Long live the king. They got God save the king in here. Actually, it says, Long live the king, long live the king. Verse 17, And Absalom said unto Hushai, Is this your kindness to your friend? Why went you, or why did you not go with your friend? Verse 18, And Hushai said unto Absalom, No, but whom Yahuwah and this people and all the men of Israel choose, his will I be, and with him I will stay. Verse 19, And again, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son or Ben, as I have served in your father's presence? So will I be in your presence. Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, Give counsel among you what we shall do. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Go in into your father's concubines, which he hath left to keep the house, and all Israel shall hear that you are abhorred of your father. Then shall the hands of all that are with you be strong. So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and Absalom went into his father's concubines in sight of all of Israel. And the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracles of Elohim. Okay? Or the word of Elohim. So was all of the counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. Chapter 17. Moreover, Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I will rise and pursue after David this night. And I will come upon him while he is weary and exhausted, and will make him and terrify him, and all the people that are with him shall flee, and I will strike him or strike him down, the king only. And I will bring back all the people unto you. The man whom you seek is as if all return, so all the people shall be in peace. And the saying pleased Absalom well, and all the elders of Israel. Excuse me. Then said Absalom, Call now Hushai the Archite also, and let us hear likewise what he says. And when Hushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spoke unto him, saying, Ahithophel hath spoken after this manner. Shall we do after his saying? If not, speak so. And Hushai said unto Absalom, The advice that Ahithophel hath given is not good at this time. For said Hushai, You know your father and his men, that they be mighty men, and that they be bitter in their minds, as a bear robbed of her whelps or of her cubs in the field. And your father is a man of war, and will not spend the night with the people. Verse 9. Behold, he said, He is hid now in some pit or in some other place, and it will come to pass when some of them be fallen at the first, that whosoever hears it will say, there is a slaughter among the people that follow Absalom. And he also that is brave, whose heart is as the heart of a lion, shall utterly melt. For all Israel knows that your father is a mighty man, and they which be with him are brave. Therefore I console that all Israel be generally gathered unto you, from Dan even unto Beersheba, as the sand that is by the sea for the multitude. And that you go to battle in your own person, excuse me, so shall we come upon him in some place where he shall be found, and we will light upon him as the dew falls on the ground. And of him and of all the men that are with him, there shall not be left so much as one. Verse 13. Moreover, if he be gotten unto a city, then shall all Israel bring ropes to that city, and will draw it into the river until there be not one small stone found there. And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel, for Yahuwah had appointed or ordained to deal with the good counsel of Ahithophel, to the intent that Yahuwah might bring evil upon Absalom. Verse 15. Then said Hushai unto Zodok and to Abithar, the priests, thus and this did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and the elders of Israel, and this have I counseled. Verse 16. Now therefore send quickly and tell David, saying, do not spend the night, this night, in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily travel on, lest the king be swallowed up, excuse me, and all the people that are with him. Verse 17. And Jonathan and Ahimaaz stayed in Rogel, for they might not be seen to come into the city. A maidservant went and told them, and they went and told King David. Verse 18. Nevertheless, a lad saw them and told Absalom. But they went both of them away quickly and came to a man's house in Baharim, which had a well in his court, into which they went down. Verse 19. And the woman took and spread at the covering of the well's mouth, and spread ground grain thereon, and the thing was not known. Verse 20. And when Absalom's servants came to the woman to the house, they said, where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan? And the woman said unto them, they be gone over the brook of water. And when they had sought and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. 21. And it came to pass after they were departed, that they came up out of the well, and went and told King David, and said unto David, arise and travel quickly over the water, for thus hath Ahithophel counseled against you. Then David arose, and all the people that were with him, and they traveled over Jordan by the dawn. They lacked not one of them that was not gone over Jordan. So every one of them had passed over the river Jordan. Verse 23. And when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his donkey and arose and got him home to his house, to his city, and put his household in order, and hanged himself and died, and was buried in the tomb of his father. Then David came to Mahanaim, And Absalom traveled over Jordan, he and all the men of Israel with him. And Absalom made Amashah captain over the host instead of Joab, which Amashah was a man's Ben, whose name was Ithraim, Israelite, that went to Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister of Zeruiah, Joab's mother. Verse 26. So Israel and Absalom camped in the land of Gilead. Verse 27. And it came to pass when David was come to Mahanaim that Shobai, the Ben or son of Nahash of Reba, of the Ben of Ammon, and Micher, the Ben of Ammiel, of Lodabar, and Barzil, the Gittite, or the Gileadite, of Rogelim. Verse 28, brought beds and bowls and earthen vessels and wheat and barley and flour and dried grain, and beans and lentils and parched seeds. Verse 29, and honey and butter and sheep and the cheese of cows, it says kine in the King James, for David and for the people that were with him to eat. For they said, the people are hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness. Chapter 18. And David numbered the people that were with him, and set captains over thousands and captains over hundreds over them. And David sent forth a third part of the people under the hand of Joab, and a third part under the hand of Abishai, the Ben of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and a third part under the hand of Attiah the Gittite. And the king said unto the people, I will surely go forth with you myself also. Verse 3, but the people answered, you shall not go forth, for if we flee away, they will not care for us, neither if half of us die will they care for us. But now you are worth 10,000 of us, therefore now it is better that you provide help, that you help us out of the city. Verse 4, and the king said unto them, what seems you best, what does it seem best that I do? And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. And the king commanded Joab and Abishai the Ittiah, saying, deal gently for my sake with the young men, even with Absalom. And all the people heard when the king gave all the captains orders concerning Absalom. So the people went out into the field unto Israel, and the battle was in the forest of Ephraim, where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David, and there was a great slaughter that day of 20,000 men. For the battle was there scattered over the face of all the country, and the wood ate up more people that day than the sword devoured. And Absalom met with the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a donkey, because mules obviously I don't think were around at that time, and the donkeys were under the thick boughs of a great oak. And his head caught hold of the oak, and he was left hanging between the sky, or the Shamayim, and the earth. And the mule that was under him went away. Verse 10, and a certain man saw it, and told Joab, and said, behold, I saw Absalom hanged in an oak. And Joab said unto the man that told him, and behold, you saw him? And why did you not smite him with there to the ground? And I would have given you 10 shekels of silver and a girdle. And the man said unto Joab, though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in my hand, Yet would I not put forth my hand against the king's ben or son. For in our hearing the king gave orders, you and Abishai and Ittai, saying, beware that none touch the young man Absalom. Verse 13, otherwise I should have wrought falsehood against my own life, for there is no matter hid from the king, and you yourself would have set yourself against me. Then said Joab, I may not stay here with you. And he took 3 darts or 3 arrows in his hand and thrust them through the heart of Absalom, while he was yet alive in the midst of the oaks. Verse 15, and 10 young men carried Joab's armor, gathered around and smote Absalom and slew him. 16, and Joab blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel, for Joab held back the people. And they took Absalom and cast him into a great pit in the wood, or in the forest, and laid a very great heap of stones upon him, and all of Israel fled every one to his tent. Verse 18, now Absalom in his lifetime had taken and reared up for himself a pillar, okay, and that would be a monument, had reared up a monument to himself, which is in the king's valley, for he said, I have no ben to keep my name in remembrance, keep my name in remembrance. And he called the monument after his own name, and it is called unto this day Absalom's place. And that may very well where we get the idea of headstones from, right there. Verse 19, then said Ahimaaz, the ben of Zadok, let me now turn and bear the king tidings, how that Yahuwah hath avenged him of his enemies. Verse 20, and Joab said unto him, you shall not bear tidings this day, but you shall bear tidings another day. But this day you shall bear no tidings, because the king's ben or son is dead. 21, then said Joab to Cushi, go tell the king what you have seen. And Cushi bowed himself unto Joab and ran. Then said Ahimaaz, the ben of Zadok, yet again to Joab, but whatever, let me, I beg you, also run after Cushi. And Joab said, why will you run, my son, seeing that you has no good news prepared? Verse 23, but whosoever said he, let me run, and he said unto him, run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain and outran Cushi, or caught him. Verse 24, and Dawood said between the 2 gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate and to the wall, and lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man running alone. Verse 25, and the watchman cried and told the king, and the king said, if he be alone, this is good news, okay? And with good news in his mouth, and he came apart and drew near, and came nearer and nearer, would be the better term. 26, and the watchman saw another man running, and the watchman called unto the porter, or to the gatekeeper, and said, behold, another man running along. And the king said, he also brings tidings, or news. Verse 27, so there are malachim, or messengers. Verse 27, and the watchman said, me thinking the running of the foremost is like the running of Ahimaaz. So he could tell by his gait who he was, the ben of Zadok. And the king said, he is a good man and comes with good news. 28, and Ahimaaz called and said unto the king, as all is well, and he fell down to the earth upon his face before the king and said, Blessed be Yahuwah your Elohim, which have delivered up the men that lifted up their hand against my master the king. And the king said, Is the young man Absalom safe? And Ahimaaz answered, When Joab sent the king's servant and me, your servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was. And the king said unto him, Turn aside and stand here. And he turned aside and stood still. 31. And behold, Cushi came, and Cushi said, Tidings, my master the king, for Yahuwah hath avenged or freed you this day of all them that rose up against you. And the king said unto Cushi, Is the young man Absalom safe? And Cushi answered, The enemies of my master the king, and all that rise against you do you hurt, be as that young man is. In other words, he said, he's basically told him he's dead, and all the rest of them too that need to be. 33. And the king was very much moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate and cried. And as he went, he said, O my son Absalom, my son, Absalom, would Elohim I had died for you, O Absalom, my son, my son, or my Ben. Chapter 19. And it was told Joab, Behold, king weeps and mourns for Absalom. And the victory that day was turned into mourning, and to all the people, for the people heard it told that day how the king was grieved for his Ben. And the people got them secretly that day into the city, as the people, being ashamed, steal away when they flee in battle. But the king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, O my son Absalom, O Absalom, my son, my son. Verse 5, And Joab came into the house to the king and said, Thou hast shamed this day the faces of all your servants, which this day have saved your life, and the lives of your Ben, or sons, and of your daughters, and of the lives of your wives, and the lives of your concubines, in that you love your enemies and hate your friends. For you has declared this day that you care neither princes nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived, and all we had died this day, then it would have pleased you well. Now therefore arise, go forth, and speak kindly unto your servants. For I swear by Yahuwah, if you go not forth, there will not one will remain with you this night, and that will be worse unto you than all the evil that befell you from your youth until now. Verse 8, Then the king arose and sat in the gate, and they told unto all the people, saying, Behold, the king doth sit in the gate. And all the people came before the king, for Israel had fled every man to his tent. And all the people were at strife throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, The king saved us out of the hand of evil of our enemies, and he delivered us out of the hand of the Philistines, and now he is fled into the land for Absalom. And Absalom, whom we appointed over us, is dead in battle. Now therefore, why speak ye not a word of bringing the king back? Verse 11, And King David sent to Zodak and to Abiathar the priest, saying, Speak unto the elders of Yehudah, saying, Why are you the last to bring the king back to his house, seeing the speech of all Israel is come to the king, even to his family, or even to his quarters. Verse 12, You are my brethren, you are my bones and my flesh. Why then are you the last to bring back the king? And say you to Amashai, Are you not of my bone and of my flesh? Elohim, do so to me, and more also, if you be not captain of the host before me continually in the place of Joab. Verse 14, and he bowed the heart of all the men of Yehuda, even as the heart of one man, so that they sent this word unto the king, return you and all your servants. So the king returned and came to Jordan, and Yehuda came to Gilgal to go to meet the king, to conduct the king over Jordan, or to get him across Jordan. And Shimei, the son of Gera, a Benhamite, which was of Beharam, hasted and came down with the men of Yehuda to meet King David. 17. And there were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Ziba, the servant of the house of Shaul, and his 15 Ben, and his 20 servants with him, and they went over Jordan before the king. And there went over a ferry boat to carry over the king's household, and to do what he thought good. And Shimei, the Ben of Gera, fell down before the king as he was come over Jordan, and said unto the king, let not my master consider me guilty, neither do you remember that which your servant did perversely the day that my master the king went out of Jerusalem, that the king should take it to his heart. Verse 20, for your servant does know that I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I am come the first this day of all the house of Joseph to go down to meet my master the king. 21, but Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, answered and said, shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed Yahuwah's anointed, or the anointed of Yahuwah's, how that would read in Hebrew. 22, and David said, what have I to do with you, you Ben of Zeruiah, that you should this day be adversaries unto me? Shall there any man be put to death this day in Israel? For do not I know that I am this day king over Israel? Verse 23, therefore the king said unto Shimei, there you shall not die. And the king sware unto him, or promised him. And Mephibosheth, the Ben of Shaul, came down to meet the king, and had neither cared for his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes, from the day the king left until the day he came again in peace. And it came to pass, when he was come to Jerusalem, or Jerusalem, to meet the king, that the king said unto him, why did you not go with me, Mephibosheth? Question. 26, and he answered, my master, O king, my servant deceived me, for your servant said, I will saddle me a donkey, that I may ride thereon, and go to the king, because your servant is lame. Verse 27, and he has slaughtered your servant unto my master the king, but my master the king is as the angel of, or the Malach, the messenger, or the Malach of Elohim. He's likened to the Ruach HaKodesh. Do therefore what is good in your eyes. Verse 28, for all my father's house were but dead men before my master the king. Yet did you set your servant among them that did eat at your own table. What right therefore have I yet to complain any more unto the king? And the king said unto him, why speak you in any more of your matters? I have said, you and Ziba divide the land. And Mephibosheth said unto the king, Yea, let him take all, for as much as my master the king is come again in peace into his own house, and Barzillai the Gileadite came down from Rogelim and went over Jordan with the king to conduct him over Jordan, or to help him across the Jordan. Now Barzillai was a very aged man. He was 80 years old, and he had provided the king of sustenance while he lay at Mahanaim, for he was a very great man. And the king said unto Barzillai, Come over with me, and I will feed you with me in Jerusalem. And Barzillai said unto the king, How long have I to live, that I should go up with the king to Jerusalem? I am this day 80 years old, or 80 years old, and can I discern between good and evil? Can your servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Can I hear any more? The voice of singing men and singing women? He couldn't. Why then should your servant be yet a burden unto my lord, or my master the king? 36. Your servant will go a little way over Jordan with the king, and why should the king repay me with such a reward? Verse 37. Let your servant, I pray you, turn back again, that I may die in my own city, and be buried by the grave of my father and of my mother. But behold, your servant Chimham, let him go over with my lord, my master the king, and do to him what shall seem good unto you. And the king answered, Chiham shall go over with me, and I will do to him that which shall seem good unto you, and whatsoever you shall choose of me, that will I do for you. Verse 39. And all the people went over Jordan, and when the king was come over, the king kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and returned unto his own place. Verse 40. Then the king went on to Gilgal, and Chimham went on with him, and all the people of Yehuda accompanied the king, and also half the people of Israel. And behold, all the men of Israel came to the king, and said unto the king, Why have our brethren, the men of Yehuda, stolen you away, and have brought the king and his household, and all David's men with him over Jordan? And all the men of Yehuda answered the men of Israel, Because the king is near of kin to us. Therefore, then be you angry for this, or why are you angry for this matter? Have we eaten at all of the king's cost, or hath he given us any gift? And the men of Israel answered the men of Yehuda, and said, We have 10 parts in the king, and we have also more right in David than you. Why then did you despise us, that our advice should not be first had in bringing back our king? And the words of the men of Yehuda were harsher than the words of the men of Israel. We're going to stop it there. It's just almost right at an hour. And again, may Yahuwah be with you, and may you be blessed, and all of you stay safe, and again, shelter in, and get out and walk the dog or whatever, and enjoy life, and continue to keep the faith until we meet again. In Yahushua's name we pray. Amen.